Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. I'm sorry, I'm not showing my face today. I am a little bit still. My cold's really coming out now, so it sounds worse, but actually I feel better, if that makes sense. I felt worse earlier in the week when it was sort of, headache and that. Now it's sort of coming out, and I actually feel better, but I sound terrible. And I look terrible. But anyway, I will be showing my face on the live tonight. But I thought, I'm just here with fluids, sniffing. Sorry about that. But anyway, so just be prepared to get angry today. I should have made this a rant of the day, really. I am so angry, so angry. Anyway, first thing I'm going to do is light the candle. I know you can't see me lighting the candle, but you'll hear the lighter going. So the candle that I'm lighting today, as you know, it's for everybody in one sense, but each time I do a video, I dedicate it to some people in particular. And I've actually got 3 people to dedicate this candle to. So not only these 2 women that we're going to talk about today, who have lost their lives, Molly Ticehurst, who's 28 years old, and Emma Bates, 49 years old. Not only them who lost their lives to 2 twonks who basically should never have been out there, should never have been out there to able to do this to these women. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's what the outrage is at the moment in Australia, is these people, they should never have been allowed, they shouldn't have even been walking around to be able to do these things to these women. But now I've got to give you a bit of a trigger warning now, because as I looked into these cases, it turns out that one of these 2 twonks, how can I put it, he was charged, but he was acquitted of murdering this little girl, Nikki. And this little girl, she was the daughter of his partner. She was 2 years old. And he was charged with murdering her, but he was acquitted. So this was in 2015. So he shouldn't have even been walking around. I mean, we're not supposed to say that he was guilty because he was acquitted. But when I go into the story of it, you might see why I don't really believe that he wasn't guilty. So, yeah, bit of a trigger warning, because although this started off as a very sad tale talking about the 2 women who've been murdered, then the more I looked into the stories and then found out about this little girl, Nikki, she's another victim. So she's another one that we're lighting the candle for. Anyway, we're going to start off, I think we'll start off with the story of Emma Bates, who was 49, because she's the one that this little angel comes down to as well. Let me just go back to her picture. So this is Emma Bates, 49, and she's the one we're going to start the story off with. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone for subscribing, as always, for liking, for watching my videos. A special thanks to the members. We had the members live last night. Members lives are every Thursday evening. And if you can't make the actual live, sorry about the cold. If you can't make the actual live, you can always watch it on Catch Up or Replay Crew. I also want to say a special thanks to those of you who send me Ko-Fis or PayPal or send me a super, etc. That all this really helps in keeping the channel going and get the channel going from strength to strength. But the most important thing that you can do for me, which is absolutely free, is subscribe and like the video. Okay, let's get the banner off. So I'm going to say hello to everyone now, and then I'm going to get started getting angry. I am angry about this. Unfortunately, I'm too ill to get really angry. But if I was not ill, I would be fuming. So maybe it's a good job. Good morning, Chumba. Good morning, Kelly. Oh, sorry, Kelly. Good evening. Hi, Annie. Hi, Yvonne. Kelly, what's going on in Australia? What is going on? So, but you're going to get even more angry about this guy, this twonk who killed this woman. So, this woman is Emma Bates, 49 years old. Let's hear a little bit more about her. I've got again, as always, all these windows open. So, let's share this. Now, he's a charmer, this guy. The guy who's, and I mean that sarcastically, just in case you're not sure. The guy who's accused of murdering her, I think he's gonna get away with this guy. So John Turney, this is him. He's 10 years younger than her. He's a drug addict. He's the one that was charged with killing the little 2-year-old girl in 2015. He's violent, he's abusive, he's an addict, he's all those things. And they'd recently got into a relationship. Emma apparently is what, I read her described, I hope her family, if they're listening, don't mind it, saying she was a bit of a crazy cat woman. She loved cats. She wouldn't hurt a soul. She was gentle. She was kind. She's all those things. So let's just listen to a news item about her, which I know I've got here somewhere. Get all these things ready, and then when it comes to it, I can't find them. Where is it? Okay, anyway, we're going to read an article first. So this guy, the charmer, as he came out of the court, he gave the middle finger to the court. This is the sort of nice guy he is. Let me just take that other thing off, don't I? Have to take that off. Yeah, so the guy accused of assaulting Emma Bates gives the middle finger to the court after the death of Emma Bates. Now, I just got this horrible feeling about this case that he's going to get away with it, because he was previously, we're going to look into the case of him. He was accused of murdering a Mildura toddler in 2015, who was the daughter of his partner at the time. And he faced Shepperton's Magistrates Court on Friday for a short hearing after being arrested on Tuesday. And actually, we're going to have a little look at his arrest. I've got his arrest on here, so let's have a look at that.
Was found dead in her home 3 kilometres in Cobram's Main Street. John Tawney makes a half-hearted attempt to run, but realising he's cornered, submits to 2 police women. Officers had been looking for the 39-year-old since his girlfriend Emma Bates was found dead in her home 3 kilometres away yesterday afternoon. It's believed he and Ms Bates had only recently started dating, neighbours describing the 49-year-old as kind and caring.
Arrest. That was him being arrested, and I thought it was very ironic that he was arrested by 2 police women. Good. Okay. So he appeared in a green shirt and grey tracksuit pants, and he did not apply for bail on the 13 charges, which include intentionally causing injury, recklessly causing injury, common law assault, aggravated assault of a female, and unlawful assault. Prosecutor Charles Moffat adjusted the terms of several of the charges, including one to charge Turney under the Family Violence Protection Act. Victoria Police are alleging a serious assault and contravention of the Family Protection Act, said Moffat. Turney's lawyer, Kyle McLaughlin, suggested his client might fight the allegations after opposing a media application for the summary of the incident, saying it was not accepted at this stage. He said that Turney was withdrawing from drugs. Turney nodded to the magistrate as he left the court before turning around and extending his middle finger to media and other court staff observing proceedings. It was a short hearing for the alleged crime that shocked the community and plunged yet another family into grief. Turney was remanded and is scheduled to appear again at the Shepperton Magistrates Court on May the 21st. On Friday afternoon, after the hearing, Victoria Police said investigations into, God, what are they calling her? Always calling by their surnames, into Emma's death were continuing. Police said an autopsy had been unable to determine a cause of death. You know, this worries me because if they can't determine a cause of death, that can be difficult when it comes to a murder prosecution. Anyway, detectives will await the results of further testing and continue with their investigation, a police statement said. Emma, 49, whose maiden name was Cocking, was found dead in her Campbell Road home in Cobham about 2:15 on Tuesday. On Thursday, Bates's grieving family said investigators had told them Turney would not be charged with murder after an autopsy could not find a conclusive cause of death. They said investigators had told the family it meant they were unable to prove that Turney's alleged assault had directly caused Bates's death. Police would not comment further. The Cocking family said that Emma, who was the fourth of 7 children, was a type 1 diabetic who used a mobility scooter and was frequently hospitalized. It's tragic that her big heart has led her to a friendship with a man who wished her harm. No one deserves that, the family said in a statement released on Thursday morning. She had the biggest heart of anyone we know. She was always helping someone, dropping in food for an elderly neighbour, giving lifts to people who needed it. The list goes on. They're always nice people, aren't they? You know, it's because she's a nice person that she's got sucked in by this twonk. She was the crazy cat lady aunt. She had her rescues that she treated like babies. Her home decor was all cat inspired. Emma wasn't blessed with children, but she was a proud auntie to her 17 nieces and nephews. They were her pride and joy, and she would spend hours talking about them to everyone. She had many of their faces tattooed to her legs so she could carry them with her always. Emma is the 26th woman to die in allegedly violent circumstances in Australia so far this year, based on a tally from research group Counting Dead Women in Australia. And then it goes on to give you the numbers to ring if you're in Australia. If you're what's the word? If you feel like you're under any danger from anyone, you must contact someone. Don't wait, because these people, he obviously's got problem with violence, aggression, anger issues, drugs. You put all that together, probably alcohol as well. So if you put it all together, he was just an accident waiting to happen again. He's an accident that's already happened. Well, murdering a little toddler. Let me just go into this article, actually. So apparently she was warned about him. Oh, I have subscribed. Oh, never mind. I've already subscribed, but it's asking me to subscribe again. Why is it asking me to subscribe again? Anyway, never mind. We'll go into we'll look at another one. Oh God, do you know what? Computers have just driven me mad today. Absolutely crazy. Okay, so when I started looking into this guy, when I started looking into this twonk, then it turns out that in 2015, he was accused of murdering his then partner's 2-year-old girl. I mean, I thought, what? So he shouldn't even really be walking the streets, because you listen to the story and you tell me, do you think he was guilty or not? Let's hear the story. So this little girl was called Nikki Francis-Coslovich. This is her mother. Anyway, the reason he was acquitted is I think they could not prove that it was him. He admitted hiding the little girl's body in the attic. But I think there was perhaps reasonable doubt whether it was him who murdered the little girl or the mother that murdered the little girl. Why these mothers? Why did they find a man more important than a little girl? Anyway, so apparently her mother, Petter Ann Francis, was targeted in an undercover police operation. I think they're both walking free now. This is what's so annoying. Somebody killed that little girl. She didn't die by accident. When you hear her injuries, and I've just got to give you again a trigger warning, it's very upsetting to hear what happened to this little girl. It wasn't an accident, put it that way. So the mother of Mildura toddler, Nikki Francis-Coslovich, was the target of an undercover police sting shortly after the 2-year-old's alleged murder last year, a court has heard. So this is an article from when he was undergoing his trial. On Thursday, Peter and Francis faced a sustained attack by the defence team over her knowledge of her daughter's death in August 2015. Her ex-boyfriend, John Turney, is charged, 32 he was at the time, is charged with bashing a 32-year-old man, bashing a 2-year-old toddler to death. What a man. There he is in his vest t-shirt. What a man with his tattoos and that. What a man. What a man. Must definitely got a button mushroom in my eyes. So he was he's charged with he was charged with bashing the child to death before hiding her body in the ceiling of the family home. But he has accused Miss Francis of killing her daughter, saying he only disposed of the body. And there she is, that little angel. That little angel. In fact, I'm going to put, we need the angel emojis here. What a man. What a big man. Oh my God, what a big man. I hope if he does go to prison and he gets sorted out in prison, I really do. Do you know what? I'm going really right wing in this. I've never, he's like, just these people, they deserve some punishment. I mean, I do believe they get their punishment in the next life, but you look at that sweet little face. And there were other photos on the internet which I decided not to put up because they're too distressing. Photos of her with a black eye, obviously a previous assault by somebody. You know, there were photos of her after she'd been assaulted with a black eye and something on her forehead, you know. So, but I thought, oh, I'm not going to put those up. Too distressing. Distressing just to think about them. Anyway, in secretly taped recordings played to the Supreme Court in Mildura, Miss Francis could be heard saying, I need to get my story straight. You see, she's another idiot who puts her man before her child. Miss Francis told the court she had lied to the undercover operative who had befriended her, but that was rebuked by the defence. You're clever enough that you want to give the impression to the jury that you didn't remember. John Tony's defence lawyer, Julie Condon, said, I know I would keep saying it, but I could not be a defence lawyer in cases like this. I just couldn't do it. And she's a woman. So the defence lawyer said, I suggest to you in the recordings you are a clever, cunning person. And Peter and Francis said, that's your opinion. Condon, do you agree with me? Francis, no. In the recording, Miss Francis could be heard telling the undercover operative that her daughter's bed had been made on the day she reported her missing. We're going to listen to the 911 call or whatever number it is that you ring in Australia. We're going to listen to the phone call that she made. She lied in the phone call. She obviously knew more. Miss Condon challenged her version of events, questioning whether Nikki was able to make her own bed at the age of 2. Well, I would say no. From what I can remember about my son when he was 2, how does a 2-year-old make their own bed? So you want this jury to believe that you go in there and you notice that your little girl's bed has been made, correct? Francis says, correct. And that despite noticing that, you then engage in a fraudulent exercise of involving the police and the state emergency service that she's gone missing, correct? So this is when the emergency call that she made that we're going to listen to in a minute. Francis, because I was in shock that my girl wasn't in her bed. So therefore I had called the cops because I thought she was missing. That bit of information, the remembering of her bed being made, came about around the time that I was talking to whoever the undercover operative is. And the lawyer said, I'll suggest that why you didn't mention that because you knew that the homicide squad would be very concerned that you had observed her bed being made and you didn't think anything of it. That's why you didn't mention it, did you? And she replied, no. Anyway, apparently then the jury went on to watch a video reenactment in which John Turney was expected to demonstrate how he disposed of the little girl's body. Imagine being a juror on that trial. How awful, how awful. Anyway, he was acquitted. He was found not guilty. So he's still, he's still walking around. So he was walking around long enough to murder poor Emma Bates. What is wrong with these courts? And what is wrong with this mother? She's probably gone on and had other children now. Anyway, let's listen to the 999 call. Not 999, it's 000, isn't it, in Australia?
Drive. How long ago did you walk out?
We don't know when we were in the room. She was sent to a bed for
services.
7-9.
So she phoned up, and the first thing she said was that she'd walked out of the house. This is the first thing she said.
7194.
Thank you. Hello. Where do you need the police?
My daughter just walked out in front of my house, 11 on Court Winera.
I'll bring up the location. 1 moment.
She's only 2.
Just there for me. I need to bring up the location. 11 Orem Court in Mildura, Victoria, near Lily Drive. How long ago did you walk out?
We don't know when we were in the room. She was sent to a bed for an afternoon nap. So I don't know when she walked out. She must have thought I was home.
How long ago did you last see her? Hello?
When I put them...
How long ago
I
was
put her down at 11 o'clock for a sleep because she had an early lunch. She was up at 4.
Hey. Stop. So you can tell that she's trying to make this story up as she goes along. She's trying to make it up as she goes along. Oh, it started buffering for some reason. Can you still hear me? Not sure what. Can you hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me or not. Oh, says it can't download it. I'm not wanting it downloading. I'm just wanting to play it. Let's see if I can get it played. Oh, you can still hear me. So I'm still online then. Not sure why that started going slow. Anyway, never mind. I'll try again later to see if I can play it. It just won't play. It's buffering. Anyway, let me just put that down. So her father, you can imagine, had quite a bit to say about it. So we're going to read now what her father said. So the father of Nikki Francis-Coslovich says he warned authorities of the danger she was in. Nick Koslovich is haunted. He can't properly explain what happened to his precious little girl, but he says there were warning signs which were ignored. And here he is again, the twonk with his, what has he got, his possessions there or something? God, a big man in his vest t-shirt and his tattooed, such a big man that he could murder a 2-year-old baby. So the father, Nick Koslovich, is haunted by the fact they cannot properly explain what happened to his precious little girl. Her body was found stuffed in the roof of her home in Mildura in regional Victoria. She had, no, I want to give you a trigger warning here because it's going to describe her injuries. She had injuries so traumatic, they resembled those caused after falling from a great height. The toddler's liver was split in several places and she lost between 1/4 and 1/3 of her total blood volume. Her stepfather, the twonk, John Clifford Tawney, 32, as he was at the time, was found not guilty of her murder and manslaughter by a Supreme Court jury last week. At his trial, he admitted placing the body in the attic, but he blamed the girl's death on the girl's mother, Peta Ann Francis. Not knowing what happened was eating me, Mr. Koslovich told a Current Affair on Tuesday night. One of them is my little girl's not here, and the other is that somebody decided it was a good idea to be violent with a little girl that wouldn't hurt an aunt. The worst part is that I can't determine who did what. I don't know who did it to my little girl. So it seems like nobody has been held responsible, have they? No one has been held responsible for that little Nikki's death. He told a Current Affair the Victorian Department of Human Services was told several times there were drugs in the house and he feared for her safety. Oh, dear me. The place just wasn't the right place for her to grow up and develop, Mr. Koslovich said. He missed her every day, but from the moment he heard she was missing, he knew he would never see her again. She was an angel, and to everybody who met her, she was like one of those rays of light that you know you're having a bad day and she would make you feel good. That was Nikki's little gift. So the department did investigate but took no action to remove Nikki from the home, and less than 2 months later she was killed. So it's another one as well of those cases of children being let down by the system. You know, the father had complained, had told the social services that his little girl was at risk, and he just left her there. Whether it was a lack of information, a lack of evidence, whether it was everybody, a lack of protocol or red tape or whatever it was, nothing was done. And Nikki paid the price, Mr. Koslovich said. Before the file on Nikki was closed, officials from the department recorded she was at significant risk in the full-time care of Miss Francis. In a statement from the Victorian Department of Health and Human Services, it said the death of Nikki was a tragedy that deeply affected staff who had worked on her case. Well, I'm sorry, but so it should, because, you know, they bear a responsibility as well. I know it's not an easy job that they do, but that had been brought to their attention, and that little girl was just left to be murdered in that home. The department and leaders across the child protection system are committed to continuous improvement to ensure we're giving the best response possible for vulnerable children and their families. And the statement said that child protection was difficult. Child protection decision making is complex, and judgments are based on the facts that are known at the time. The decision to close a case is made in consultation with senior staff and is based on risk to children and the family's engagement with support services. Well, do you know what? It just makes you wonder, is it based on financial reasons? You know, just let down, that little girl just been let down. And then not only she was let down, so now this twonk, John Turney, he's gone on and killed Emma. So Emma is dead as a result also of this man. I wonder if she even knew about this case, you know, if what he'd done before. Very depressing, isn't it? So that's the first case that I wanted to talk about, because of course there's uproar in Australia at the moment now. You know, it's supposed to even be going to a royal commission because of all this violence towards women. You know, we've been following things because of Samantha Murphy, haven't we? And that's what started me following all this, if you like. So then, on top of that, then there's the other case of Molly Ticehurst. Let's have a look at Molly. Ticehurst. Molly's 28 years old, and she's been murdered by her ex-partner, or allegedly murdered by her ex-partner, Daniel Billing. And let's have a look at him. He just looks lovely, doesn't he? Just looks lovely. That's in boxes. He's got a mouth guard in, I suppose, a blue mouth guard. But oh my God, you know, there you go. Twonk after twonk after twonk. Just going back to the other twonk, John Turney. This was him putting the finger up at a camera as well. You know, he thinks he's, I don't know, thinks he's a big man. So he's a big man. What he can do is murder 2-year-old girls and 49-year-old women. Anyway, going back to Molly. So this is Molly Ticehurst. And as I say, 28 years old. And the man who's allegedly murdered her ex-partner, Daniel Billing, here's another picture of him. Mr. Macho Man again. They're all so macho, aren't they? Such big men, such big men. Now, again, this should never have happened, because this guy, he was out on bail from, well, let's watch the video. He was out on bail for what he'd done to her. There was a restraining order. They said he'd had sex with her against her will 3 times. As far as I know, that's rape, isn't it? So he'd done that 3 times to her. But he'd been let out on bail. And then he was let out on bail, and a couple of days later, he murdered her.
Happy at work as she cared for children. For Molly Ticehurst, it was her own son she described as her whole world.
Oh, yeah, and so there's a little boy who's lost his mum because she had a little boy as well.
Just before 2 o'clock this morning, police alleged they were directed to a home on Young Street in Forbes, where they found the body of the 28-year-old mother and childcare worker.
Brutal, and we thoughts go out to the family.
Neighbours say they heard nothing, but woke to a crime scene.
We've been home like the whole night, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything.
29-year-old Daniel Billings was arrested at Fifield, around 100 kilometres northwest of Forbes.
Both persons are known each other, and we can confirm it was a former domestic relationship.
Molly's family visited the scene this morning.
Naturally, they're just distraught. So, they've lost a daughter, so mother.
Billings will face court tomorrow, charged with murder and breaching an AVO. Zara James, 9 News. Happy at work as she cared for children.
So the problem is, no matter what happens, if they get a royal commission going or the this, that or the other, it's not going to bring either of these women back, is it? Just not going to bring any of these women back. Let's have a look at this.
A nation's devastation turning to rising anger. Women in Ballarat and Newcastle tonight leading off a weekend of rallies for the 26 mothers, daughters, sisters and friends who've been murdered, allegedly at the hands of an intimate partner so far this year. Fresh in the minds of so many, the memory of Molly Ticehurst. She was just 28. Her ex-boyfriend, Daniel Billings, stands accused of murdering Molly on Monday morning, just 15 days after he was granted bail on domestic violence charges, a decision which has sparked calls for a royal commission.
My immediate response remains reform and review of the bail laws in New South Wales. The laws as they're currently constituted have let people down, in particularly Molly Ticehurst.
And we now know more about a critical bail hearing and a chilling warning from police that the alleged behaviour of Molly's ex was escalating towards the most disturbing conclusion. Billings was arrested on April 5th, charged with 10 offences dating back to January, 3 counts of sexual intercourse without consent, stalking and intimidation.
And when did they start calling it sexual intercourse without consent? That's our APE, isn't it? That I don't like that way of describing it. Call it what it is. Stalking, intimidation, all that, and he was released on bail. What more can someone do? Molly went to the police. That would have took a lot of bravery to go to the police. She went to the police and she was not protected.
Police kept him behind bars. A transcript from his appearance in Dubbo Court the next morning reveals the police sergeant argued there was a chance of endangering Molly's safety if bail was granted, telling the registrar repeated threats had been made to family members, with specific threats in relation to coming back, knowing where she lives, and coming in the window.
He articulated those very well. They were very strong submissions. I don't think I could have made them any stronger myself.
But there.
So she's cut Karen Webb. Poor Karen. So we're going to look at some details about Karen in a moment, about when she was first made police commissioner. She's the first female police commissioner. I expect she thinks, oh my God, lately. We're only in April. We're only in April in 2024, and it's been one thing after another. And this is just her area. We're talking Australia's a big place, and then the world's a big place. It's not just Australia. It's everywhere. But Karen, God, she must be sick of it's been one thing after another. And of course, this is another young man, 28 years old. So I tell you what, I think drugs have got a lot to do with it. I really, really do 100% think drugs are a lot behind it. People just lost their minds. Anyway, even the police did that policeman, what more could he do? He recommended to the registrar that there was a risk of Molly's safety, and they still gave him bail. Come on. And who paid for his bail? What, his family? So did his family pay for his bail, or did he pay for it? Don't you have to put up some money for bail? Because I'll tell you what, whoever put that money up, they should feel pretty bad now as well.
There is now a question over the strength of the police sergeant's submission. The sergeant asked the court to scrutinise carefully any proposed bail conditions, but did not say the words police oppose bail. The registrar granted it on the conditions that Billings report to police daily, not enter Forbes or go near Molly. When the case came before the court again on the 18th, this time an AVO to enforce the same conditions, but Billings remained free. The police commissioner says that
You know, for God's sake, that's not going to help Molly now. Oh, yeah, don't go anywhere near Molly. So he's not going to stand there and say, oh, well, actually, I'm going to go and murder her tomorrow, is he? He's going to say, oh, of course, I won't go anywhere near Molly. I just cannot believe it. At the very least, if they're going to let him be free, he should be wearing some sort of a tag so they know when he's near Molly's house or whatever. Or Molly should be given some sort of instant alarm. I don't know. I just cannot believe that this has happened. This is the police's responsibility. This is the court's responsibility, as well as the twonk's responsibility. Molly could not do any more than go to the courts. That would have been so hard for her to do against the next partner and say what had happened to her. And she went there hoping that she would get protected, and she didn't. So they're all responsible.
exposes a potential hole in the legal system.
There's no legal basis to substantiate a review of the bail decision by the justice on the 6th. That should have been an opportunity for us, through our prosecutor, to say, while we're here, we want to make another objection.
4 days after the second court appearance, Molly was found dead.
The Premier now plans to convene a special cabinet meeting next week, inviting prominent domestic violence campaigners, including Rosie Batty, to address our lawmakers about what needs to change.
The government needs to act, and we're prepared to do that.
Come Monday, the pressure will be amplified, these scenes to be replicated in capital cities and country towns tomorrow and Sunday.
Find people and get there, because the more people there, the more the government will realise this is actually something the community cares about and wants to actually make change on.
At State Parliament, Liz Daniels, 9 News.
And Liz Daniels joins me now from Hyde Park. Liz, how many people are expected to gather there tomorrow?
Well, Georgie, thousands are expected to gather at Belmore Park and then march here from 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in what is now a national movement calling for change.
Good. Yeah, there's going to be more protests tonight. What time is it in Australia? It's tonight, isn't it? Probably they've just been, but yeah, more protests.
Rallies in Adelaide as well, and then capital cities around the country on Sunday. Organisers say enough is enough, and that's a message the Premier appears to have already heard. Tonight, Georgie, I can tell you Chris Minns is poised to make change to both the law and the way it's administered. He's just waiting on expert advice from those reviews before he finalises details.
Liz Daniels, thank you.
Yeah, good. It's about time as well.
A nation's devastation turning to...
Okay, now I just want to read you another article, and then we're going to have a look at Karen Webb and how she became, when she all started off with so much promise. I bet she's sick of it now. So here we go. So we're back to, there's poor Molly. The New South Wales government will review how a man who allegedly murdered his ex-partner was released on bail 15 days before her death despite being charged with RAPE. At least they're calling it what it is, not sexual intercourse without consent, for fuck's sake. Emergency services had been called to perform a welfare check at a home on Young Street in Forbes, more than 370 kilometres west of Sydney, about 1:50 a.m. on Monday. Upon arriving, they discovered the body of 28-year-old Molly. Can you imagine how terrified she was? He's coming through the window, or she thought she was safe, maybe she didn't think she was safe. Once she heard he was out on bail, perhaps she didn't feel safe. But the thing is, you cannot underestimate the determination of these twonks. If they're out there, he was coming in and that's it, he's going in. He doesn't care about being arrested afterwards. He just cared about what he wanted to do. So her ex-partner, Daniel Billings, 29, was later arrested at a property in Fifield, about an hour northwest of Forbes, and taken to the police station. So he's since been charged with murder, domestic violence, and contravene prohibition restriction in AVO. Police will allege Billings was on bail at the time of the murder. So there he is. So he was bailed on April the 6th after being charged with 3 counts of sexual intercourse without consent, 4 counts of stalking, intimidating, intent, fear, physical harm, etc. 2 counts of damage or destroy property. Oh, and 1 count of animal cruelty, because this twonk as well, he assaulted her little dachshund. She had a little dachshund and he assaulted that dog as well. So the charges allegedly relate to a series of offences where Miss Ticehurst was the alleged victim before he was arrested on April the 5th. So there you go, Mr. Mims. He's ordered an urgent briefing about changing things, but, you know, it won't save Molly, of course. A family has lost their daughter and the circumstances are horrifying for that community and that family, he told reporters on Tuesday. Our justice system must protect the community from those who pose an unacceptable risk. Listening to her dad, your heart breaks for him. He's justifiably angry. He's completely heartbroken. He wants answers to what happened. So they're going to announce a review on Wednesday. I can say all the normal stuff that people say about how their daughter was beautiful, but Molly really was, Mr. Ticehurst told 9 News. Someone's got to be responsible. On Monday, Central West Police District Crime Manager Detective Inspector Jason Darcy said the alleged murder was quite brutal. It was terribly violent, he said. I've got 34 years in the police, a former homicide detective. I've been to a few and it was quite brutal. So they've set up a GoFundMe campaign for funeral costs and to give Miss Ticehurst the best send-off she deserves. So he went on to say, on Monday, the 22nd of April 2024, the hearts of everyone were broken, finding out that the life of a beautiful mother, family member, friend, educator, co-worker, and so much more was suddenly and tragically ripped away. I'm hoping that I can help to ease a small piece of the pain by helping to raise funds to give Molly the best send-off possible. I ask that if you can donate, please do. Anything is appreciated. May Molly's wings flourish and may she rest in peace. So, you know, that is, sorry. So they're pushing for a family violence register as well, a register of convicted family violence offenders. I think that's a brilliant idea, to be honest. Oh, okay. I just want to look at Karen now. So this, the police commissioner, it all started off with such promise. Let's have a look at the, this was the news at the time when Karen Webb was named as the first female New South Wales police commissioner. So this was the news of the day. Look how happy she looks. I think she's aged since then as well. It was only 2 years ago, bless her.
History has been made in the police force with the appointment of our first female commissioner. But the Premier says Karen Webb's new job has nothing to do with gender and all to do with talent, gathered over 3 decades of demanding roles.
Leading the way through the halls of state parliament, the new leader of the state's police.
It's a great honour and a...
She's loving it, isn't she? I mean, she must be, you know, she must have felt very proud, you know, to get to that position as a woman. It's not easy. But I don't know. Well, you'll let me know, I'm sure, in comments what you think of Karen.
Privilege to be selected as the next Commissioner of New South Wales Police.
Locked in with a late night call from the Premier.
There was a fair bit of screaming around my house last night.
The career cop, the first woman to take the top job.
Commissioner-elect Webb was not appointed on the basis of her gender. She was appointed on the basis of her talent.
I've observed her role as a police officer. She joined in 1987 as a very, very young girl.
Her first posting, Castle Hill, before moving to the Child Mistreatment Unit and Drug Enforcement Agency. She managed Australia Day and Invictus Games police operations, was the Transport and Public Safety Commander and the first female Chief of Traffic and Highway Patrol Command. The mother of two has also been Deputy State Emergency Operations Controller, overseeing handling of bushfires, floods and the pandemic. As Commissioner, she'll pivot policing from COVID to crime.
Zero tolerance, and we'll be tough on criminals.
Returning the focus of the force to victims. Karen Webb's promotion comes after current Commissioner Mick Fuller announced he was standing down. Already there's speculation his 5 years as the state's top cop won't be his last stint in public office.
If Mick Fuller wants to run for New South Wales Parliament, we would wholeheartedly endorse it.
Commissioner Fuller's term ends in April. Amelia Brace, 7 News.
So there you go. It all started with such promise, didn't it? But I expect she's had a bit of an annus horribilis, hasn't she, this year? What with all these there's all these women being murdered. Apart from that, then there was the stabbings in the shopping centre. There was the murder of the Australian TV presenter and his partner by a policeman. Then there was the other stabbing in the church, and now more murder. Oh, I mean, it's been crazy this year. And I keep thinking back to the fact that in Ballarat in particular, which I know is only one area, there were no murders last year. And then this year, there's already been 3, as far as I know, 3 murders. It's a big upswing, isn't it? From none to 3, and it's only April. I mean, what's going to happen for the rest of the year? Anyway, yeah, I agree, Kelly. I don't think she doesn't come over well in press conferences, and that doesn't mean to say she's not good at her job. I expect the job is very difficult, but I don't know, she's not good with dealing with people, and that's important too. If she can't do it, she should get somebody else to do it. Oh dear. Right, I'll just try one more time with this. Don't know why that recording won't come on because of the 911, the 000 call by Nikki's mum, because I listened to it earlier, no problem, and now it won't work for some reason. But anyway, there you go. That's the internet for you. Okay. Well, listen, I'm sorry that I sound so bunged up, and I just want. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, for a few days, but there's been so much else going on with Sebastian in particular. But now we still have no news of Samantha Murphy. We still have no news of Samantha Murphy, so whether anything's going to come. Eventually, we have to hope so. But I just wanted to do this video about these two. So these 2 women also, Emma and Molly, they deserve sort of talking about. They deserve their names being keep their names alive. And these twonks have to be seen for what they are. But the one that concerns me the most, I mean, that concerns me obviously because that should never have happened. Daniel Billings should never have been let out on bail after what he did. But this other guy is concerning me more in a way, because I do think Daniel Billings, he's not coming out this time. But this guy, John Tony, who's already got away with murdering a 2-year-old girl, they're saying they cannot establish the cause of death. He may not get charged with murder. Is he going to get away with it again? I mean, for God's sake. How awful. He can't get away with this again. No, something's got to be done about this man. And he just shows complete contempt because as he came out the court, he just put his finger up. This isn't the actual picture, but that's virtually what he did when he came out of court. That's what he thinks. That's what he cares about Emma and the fact he's murdered her. He didn't care about little Nikki when he murdered her. He doesn't care about anything except drugs. That's all he cares about. You know, just makes me so angry. I just got this horrible feeling. If he's not going to get charged with murder, if he's just going to get manslaughter, and then what will he get, 10 years or something? He's only 38. 39 he is, so it just makes me so angry. But anyway, so we've going to have in our prayers Molly Ticehurst and Emma Bates, as well as everybody else that we hold in our prayers when we light the candle. And of course, so there's Molly, Emma, and little Nikki, who was let down not only by him, but by her own mother. I hope she, you know, honest to God, I'm starting to think they need to sterilise some people. Has her mother gone on to have other children? I mean, she should have been sterile. I know it's a bit dramatic. I'm going into that dramatic mode now. You know, these people that allow things like this to happen, she should be sterilised, shouldn't be allowed to have children. You can't look after them. You know, none of us are perfect parents. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a perfect parent. You ask my son, he'd probably say I'm a terrible parent. But, you know, I've never put a man before my children, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to leave that picture up as I say goodbye because she's such a little cutie as well, bless her. So thank you so much for watching. I am doing a live about Sebastian tonight. I've got quite a lot of things to tell you about Sebastian. I'm going to have to get a sleep this afternoon, I think. And hope this cold just... It's like I wish it would just come out properly because once it comes out, it goes, doesn't it? You know, it's just all week I felt like really rough, but it hasn't actually materialised. Now it has materialised. So hopefully that will mean it will go now. So let's hope so. But I'll definitely get a little sleep. Oh, DMV. I didn't really get a chance to say hello to people because I was too busy getting angry with this case. But anyway, hello to everybody who I didn't say hello to. I'm so sorry, but it was just winding me up, that case. But yeah, don't give him room. Oh, little Nikki. Yeah, Chumba is depressing, but we do still have to remember most people, most men, most parents try really hard, you know, to give their children the best life, even though they fail sometimes. We all fail. I think being a parent is like a thankless task, isn't it? Because you know, you always have your parents' guilt. No matter what you do, you know, there's always other children that have more holidays, have more money, even, you know, have more time, because if you're working, sometimes it's difficult to give time, etc. But yeah, you know, most people don't do things like these twonks have done. Most people don't. So, okay, take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God always go with you. Bye-bye.